So what's up, Mr. Putu? How you doing, brother?
Yo, peace, 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 and many blessings. Mr. Sonic,
I
we out
know.
here, man, live, you
That's
know.
what's up, man. That's what's up. So for those of you who don't know, this is Putu, and please introduce yourself and tell the people what you've been up to, who you are, what you do when it comes to music, what you do when it comes to pro-black activism or however you want to call it. Yeah, go ahead, brother. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's a challenge. Sometimes, when I'm explaining, some of the different things I do, but pretty much it's basic. People know me as Putu, the artist, activist, advocate, community organizer, among many other things. I like to be, put myself out there as a, Pan-Africanist, somebody who is dedicated to the upliftment of African people on the continent and in the diaspora, because aside from, my roots of, how it affects me personally, I just think that when you look throughout history, African people on the continent and globally have gone through so much. And we need to have an effective strategy that we can help, that can be used to help uplift us out of the conditions that we've been in for some time. So Pan Africanism is a philosophy that I adopted over the years, and I use music and entertainment as a way, one of the primary ways to drive that message home. So the Liberian American Pan Africanist. It's your man Putu. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for you having me on this platform.
Right, man. That's deep, brother. It's like I kind of feel like in the Liberian music industry, it's not that many people who are social and politically conscious. And but when I look at you, I feel like you're all that. Like as far as the messages you're putting in your music, kind of reminds me of myself. Basically, when I had first started, I was just so on a conscious tip. Most of the albums I
Mm-hmm.
dropped was really about the black struggle globally. So hearing that
Mm-hmm.
from you and even seeing your messages online, it's kind of refreshing to see that I wasn't kind of like the only one. Of course, my boy
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Black and I we did like a whole mixtape
Yeah, shout out
talking
to Black.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
talking about things of that nature. But as far as being active on social media and constantly talking about it, I just didn't see that many people doing it. So to see you doing it, brother, I commend you. Keep on doing your thing. Don't let anybody discourage you. Don't let anybody tell you you're on the wrong path. Your path is your destiny. Your path is your strategy to success. So you got to keep doing that. Um,
Uh,
yeah. So
thank you, and same with you.
oh,
Same to you. Thank you. Yes. I
appreciate
mean,
that,
on
brother.
that note, there, as it relates to the Liberian music and entertainment industry and the consciousness, as we will call it, I think that you know, by definition, if you are, are a Liberian, musician or entertainer, there has to be a certain level of consciousness to you, you know, given the history of Liberia itself.
Right.
The history or the foundation of Liberia itself is rooted in the liberation in the African, African American, but African struggle. So I don't think that it's wise for us as Liberian artists or entertainers, those who repping the name, to just be out there carrying the name of Liberia and not be able to, chime in some of the discussion. It takes time to study,
Right.
but that's part of what we have to do. Some people say, "Oh, I just want to make music." No, it's not all about it. In fact, the funny part about it is in doing that. it's actually going to help the game move forward faster.
That's true.
You know, and that's why I don't think that a lot of Liberian artists, entertainers realize that if we tap into our history and push it and brand ourselves, embed ourselves in that, before you know it, there'll be a lot more people interested into what we have to say and hear what we got to offer.
Yeah, Putu, I'm getting a little bit of static from your end. Are you using your Wi-Fi right now?
No, I'm actually using the
Just
data.
okay. The
Yeah.
regular net. Okay, so you don't have Wi-Fi around you that you could just tap into that way because I'm getting
Oh
static.
man.
No, I mean if you don't have it, that's fine. We'll
No. Yeah, yeah, I
yeah.
don't have it. I mean, maybe the area I'm in. Can you hearing
I mean,
me a little bit?
I'm hearing you clearly, but then there are times where it's a little staticky. So
Goes in and out.
yeah,
Okay. Please,
so
please bear with me.
and this is live, so it's that's basically what I was trying to ask. But it's okay. Let's
Okay.
just do what we got to do. Um,
Okay.
when it comes to let's talk about this DED Liberian DED situation, which is called what deferred
And
enforcement. What's the other name?
departure.
Departure, exactly.
Deferred, yeah, departure. Yeah, deferred enforcement. Departure.
Departure, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And before it was really known as the TPS, right, which is temporary protective status, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I did a video last year about this situation because I know a lot of Liberians came here. Most of the people who are affected are the ones that came around the 1990 war, like around 1990. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people came here like 89, 90, 91, kind of around the same time. And a lot of them couldn't really go back home. So they got their TPS status to be able to stay based on the war. Fortunately for them, they were able to stay all those years because it was not one war, as we all know. It was like spurts of wars. Every time we had a sense of normalcy, there was another war outbreak. Every time we had a sense of normalcy, something else would pop up. So because of that situation, those people were able to stay here without issue. Now, when Ellen Johnson Sirleaf became president and things were little stabilized, that's when it seemed like they really started pushing for people to return home until the Ebola crisis. When the Ebola crisis came, because of that situation, it was extended again. So, which brings us up to now because Obama did renew it when he was in office or whatever. And now you have Trump that was saying this year he was going to make sure those people get deported. I did a video, and my video really focused on instead of our people uh, waiting for the last minute to probably be able to stay here or not, I feel they should prepare themselves. They should prepare themselves in working extra, saving money, probably starting to build their property in Liberia, save money for a business because the government will know they're not going to give them that money, you know, and that's just in case, but at least they have something to look forward to, even if things go bad to the point where they have to leave the country. And we know they're not. It's not a situation where they're gonna just say leave the country and they have to leave. They're probably gonna say we're not gonna extend it anymore, and most people are gonna choose to live here illegally. Now, if they get caught, they're gonna have to go back home on that kind of forced situation, you know.
Oh,
So now coming to you, what do you think about a whole DED situation? Can you give a better explanation of it? And how can our people really look at this, learn from it, and really prepare themselves if they have to leave the country?
well, yeah. Thanks for that historical summary. Are you getting me clear?
Yeah, yeah, I am. I am.
Um, if I understand it correct too, as it relates to this last situation, um, Trump actually did not extend it last year. He actually stopped. He did not extend it. He just gave a year
Right, right.
grace period. So if they had not renewed it again this a few days ago, then I don't know if there was going to be more of a grace period. From what I understand. But I do agree with what you're saying as far as you know the idea of trying to create a comfortable situation in Liberia for you if you relocate. While whatever we're doing over here to to create a better pathway to citizenship, whatever the plan is, don't depend on it. I think in general, generally speaking, Liberians in America and other places around the world, um, there is a desire to go back home to Liberia, but because of a lot of different problems in the different sectors and the lack of infrastructure, healthcare, everything, there's just a reluctance people
Okay,
want, actually going to make that move and to invest and to go forward. And there's reason for that.
okay,
Um, uh, for me, for what I've observed over the years, um, there hasn't really been a strong um, national reconciliation effort in a long time that has been able to bring some sort of closure to certain things that happened with the war.
okay.
And that gaping, those wounds and those problems and those rifts, it has caused us as a people, Liberians as a people, to not be able to cooperate in the way that is necessary to really come together and build the country the way it needs to be. So everybody is estranged from themselves. There's a lack of trust. There's a lack of faith in each other. There's a whole lot of negative. There's more pessimism than optimism in the country. So all those are things that people who are on DED or who even have citizenship in America that make people not want to go and invest in Liberia. But
Right,
I think we really need to, as a people, look at this situation, and if we can see what the problem is, like I said, reconciliation and healing some of these wounds so that we can have a better dialogue and work on what we need to work on, then that's what we need to do. We need to
right,
do that, so that you won't be forced out of America or anywhere you are. You will willingly go back. You will run to Liberia. People will be in Liberia, and also we can still, work on better pathway to citizenship, so people can go back and forth. But we really need to really start looking back to that country.
okay. I mean, I like that answer, but the thing I'm looking at is time, and from what I'm seeing, the time is short. They're always giving this 1 year extension kind of situation, which is short. A lot of people have problems that look at the fact that they're living here, living comfortably. Some of them might not be as comfortable, but still they're in a situation where they don't have to worry about lights being turned off. They don't have to worry about water being turned off and people drawing water and all this kind of stuff. And it just feel like, man, I don't want to go back to that. Well, the thing is, even if you don't want to go back to Liberia per se, Ghana has already welcomed a lot of immigrants from the US, a lot of black people, period. Ghana has opened their arms to black people from around the world. Ghana is right next door to Liberia, not right next door, but you know what I'm talking about. It's a neighboring country. So, and Ghana is an English speaking country. So is Sierra Leone, but a lot of people don't want to attach themselves to Sierra Leone because they also have their own a war. So I would say if people are not comfortable with trying to look into relocating to Liberia, at least they should look into relocating to Ghana, to Nigeria, to other English speaking African countries that basically all they have to do is, work, save some money, and if they have to leave the country, they're not leaving the country by force, and they're not leaving the country without having anything ready to go start their new lives on the other side. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, what I think about that is I'm hearing feedback.
No, you good. You
Oh,
good.
okay. Yeah, it's a matter of options, having your options open on the table. And at the end of the day, you should be feel free to want to go anywhere to live, whether it's Nigeria, Senegal, Ghana. There are a lot of developing places in Africa and other places around the world too. I mean, some people might even want to go to Canada if you don't even want to use
Exactly.
leave North America. But on but on that note too, at the same time, if somebody who you can't run from home, if you are somebody who say that you do care about Liberia, you want to see Liberia move forward. I mean, the reality is there are people who are living in Liberia who never left, and they're there and they survived. And we need to really look at ways that we can work together with each other, those who are abroad, with those who are on the ground, and try to see how we can improve, what we have.
Right.
And I think, I mean, because it's like, if you go to any country that you may have some cultural similarities, but it'll still be a bit different. Even if you go back to Liberia, it's going to be different, but at least you have some familiarity with it. You have some ties, and that's where your heart is.
Right.
So that's part of the sacrifice that we need to, and discipline that we need to kind of start to channel in. I mean, for me, I mean, I have, my brother, he's been back in since 2010 in Liberia. I went back some time. I stayed there for like 2 years, but it's like, for me, if it wasn't for the movement and the things that like what we're trying to do, building networking with people and like trying to take advantage of some of the opportunities that are in America and the connections we're trying to build, I will be there. I'm willing, to adjust to whatever the situation is, because I know it's not going to be um, permanent. We have to think visionary. So let's say you're in America right now, and we got another year. Um, who do you have on the ground that? And that's another thing. Trust. There's trust issues.
Right.
you
Right.
know. But there are people out there who, like you, myself, and others, not just in America, but who are angry, but who are and trustworthy and try to make head. So we shouldn't, even if we say we want to go to another country, we should always try to maintain the ties, and especially if we want to go back to Liberia at some point. So I mean, that's just my take on it. But I do agree people can go if they want to go.
Okay, that's good. Um, do you think the government of Liberia could do something more? For instance, prepare like have maybe government houses built just in case these people have to relocate. That way they ain't got, because everybody's not gonna have money to build a house. That's just the truth. But you think they could do things to prepare for Liberian citizens that might have to relocate back because of this DD, and also do you think they can also try to work with the U.S. government in either helping these people to actually become how you call it, legal immigrants in the U.S. Instead of having to move those people, because a lot of people have had children, and it's just going to be a big mess, really. What do you think they could do, the Liberian government?
Well, I definitely think that Liberian government can do a lot more, not even just in that with that issue. Generally speaking, there are a lot of things that the Liberian government can do. There is some positive things that is happening. I'm not under the bus, but for me, when it comes to things like this, I try to see what we, the people, those who are outside of government, how effective are we, and how strong we are, because we all know when it comes to the government, Liberian government, politics, corruption, and there's so much red tape and bureaucracy that I don't really, I don't really always have faith and have the patience to deal with all that. So, though we need to engage with them, I think when we organize ourselves outside of the governmental structure, we become more powerful to where we can make make stronger demand. But
Okay.
if we ourselves who are outside of the government, the Liberian government, like in the diaspora, we're all all over the place, chakla, as people say. It's like we have no united front, no strong to say, okay, look, we are all together in Liberian government. We can push the lawmakers and pull some strings. So everybody's just all over the place in it. So, but I think it would be a great idea to build some estates and some areas where people who are returning back.
Right.
And then there's the issue of dual citizenship too.
Right.
That I believe, yeah, that I think that is also something that we're not talking about enough in this context. Some people don't want to get American citizenship or change their citizenship because of out of fear of what that would do if they want to go back to Liberia. You
Of
know,
course.
so it's like, yeah. So it's like it's not that people are not trying. Some people are not trying hard enough, but it's like, all right, if they go through the process, become a U.S. citizenship, then now the people in Liberia who say gonna say that you can't do this, do that when they want to go back to Liberia and be used against them when they want to go back home. You know, so it's a very complex situation, and so the Liberian issue needs to be addressed. It's kind of complicated. I think we need to have another conversation about that another time as to why there's not dual citizenship for Liberia. Reasons for it. Um, when I look at it, let's throw it out there. So you're familiar with it. You familiar with the Negro clause in Liberia, right? The
What is it?
Negro,
No.
the Negro clause, where to become citizenship a citizen of Liberia must be a Negro, a black person or of black descent.
Okay.
Um, so that is a law that has been in the books in Liberia since the foundation.
Okay.
When the founders of wrote especially
Yeah,
at that time
you're
where
really
faith,
you're freezing
know,
up a lot now, though. Hello?
it's going back and forth now, and that's up.
Yeah, it was freezing up a whole lot not too long ago. But I heard a little bit about what you said about the Negro clause, and that you must be black in order to be a citizen of Liberia. But with a dual citizenship, the only thing I see is, I guess they're afraid of a lot of foreigners coming and taking advantage of the land and everything else over the locals. So that situation will always be
Yeah,
tricky because basically when Liberia was started, Black Americans wanted to be freed. So it's almost like saying, I want to be free. I really don't want to have nothing to do with y'all again. So coming back to ask for dual citizenship is going to have to be a lot of things that will have to be changed in our constitution, to be able to make that happen. I mean, it's doable. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's gonna be a lot of change. And from
yeah,
what I see right now, I don't know if that's gonna be possible really.
yeah. I mean that those are some of the things that, like you said, will have to be re-examined. If Liberia, because when you have a dual citizenship, and you have like the paperwork and the treaty between Liberia and America, because it's like why will America respect um Liberian citizenship, and or and then vice versa, if they're a white American and they want to go to Liberia. So it's a very complicated issue when you open up that dialogue there. You get real complicated in
Right,
it. So those are some of the layers and layers of issues that is holding things back, holding us back.
right, right. So yeah,
Mhm.
let's move on to the next topic. I said immigration status. So basically, I'm just talking about immigration status in the U.S. period. What do you see? Do you see immigration status being the same as it has always been, where someone comes here as a legal immigrant, they stay for 5 years and they have a chance to become a citizen, or if you come as an illegal immigrant, where you have to literally get married or something like that to become a legal immigrant, then stay for 5 years before you can become a citizen. Do you see that process still being the same, especially given that you have a situation at the Mexican border where a lot of people cross the border and come into the U.S. and where do you see immigration going in this country in the next few years? Do you see things changing because of the way how the country population is starting to look as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think we gotta remember has always been a part of American history, um, for generations, centuries, um, and a lot of times the immigrants who came, even the European, Asian, um, years ago, the infrastructure, obviously it was the African Americans, and we'll get to that, the ADOS, who like built like the bedrock or the foundation. But immigrants, as they came, they worked a lot of the jobs that um, the the typical white American was not going to be doing, working.
Hmm.
And so over time, here we are, in 2019, it's like we're in a situation where there's so many, like the population is so diverse, and the original power structure, the dominant power structure, the white dominant power structure, is feeling a threat.
Okay.
Oh, we make America. We got to bring back America. What Trump say?
Make America
Make
great
America
again.
great again. Take back our country. So it's like, you're going to you speaking Spanish. You seeing African markets, Jamaican markets, Asian is like. So where is the original, the dominant power structure in that. So because of that threat now, you're seeing that immigration is it's becoming tight. It's a big problem right now because people are panicking. So I mean, I can't say I don't know exactly how everything's gonna play itself out, especially politically. I do know that I think ultimately, and I mean it's not that I want it to happen or saying to happen, but from where things are going, it looks like there might be, like some fighting going on at some point, with all the tension that's brewing, even beyond race and immigration. Let's just talk about what's happening to the political structure itself of America. The Republican Party, the Democratic Party. Overall, a lot of people are losing faith in the two-party structure in America, and it's like everybody is just like a free for all, and people are just trying to cling to their own. People are buying more guns. Um, there's a lot of different issues that are happening and occurring, that it makes your day-to-day life in America uncertain.
Hmm.
So by knowing that, my thing is important. I mean, immigrants are kind of at an advantage in a certain way, be it that they have, a homeland outside of America or somewhere that they're familiar with outside of America, just in case if, things get crazy, and you want to go back somewhere. But then the whole question is, what is the state of the situation in your original, in your native land?
Right.
So that's why it's important to see what you can do right now, to make, wherever you're from, a safe haven. So I see that there will come a point in time where people will want to be leaving America. That's what I think. Over the next few years, the next 5 to 10 years, there will be a lot of people who want to leave and get out of the country. That's what.
Wow, wow, wow. That was really deep, man. You know, this country is like it's so many things is happening. When you look at it, the financial situation in America right now, we're in debt, like trillions of dollars in debt, you know. And basically the US money, I don't know how they're even keeping it afloat, to be honest with you.
That's
Because
what's keeping.
for years and years we heard that the economy was going to crash, and I mean it even took a dip during the little housing bubble in 2008. But was it two I think two was it 2008? I think it
2007,
was
2008, and then
right.
2009, the bailout
Yeah, the
came out on the
bailout.
bill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, but and then you remember when Gaddafi was even planning to do that one currency in Africa, which was going to be backed by gold, that was going to really cripple the economy here, seriously. Because think about it, if you have to purchase, if literally like nobody was going to care about purchasing anything in US dollars if you could actually purchase something in gold. Just think about it, and gold, 1 ounce of gold, if you look at the price, I mean, I don't know the price now, but it was times where 1 ounce of gold was around $1,300.
Mm-mm-mm-mm. Gold is never gonna go. You know.
So just looking at things like that, coupled with influx of immigrants coming into this country, and they complain a lot about illegal immigrants because if you're not paying taxes, you're really hurting the government, you're hurting the economy, you're hurting the country. If you're not paying taxes and you're just getting away with it, think about it. If whoever's here that's not paying taxes, like every year, we all have to work, we file our taxes. Some people don't even care about that because they're not paying taxes. and because you're not paying taxes, it hurts everybody at the end of the day. So because you're still using a lot of public facilities and stuff like that too. So and coupled with the fact that you're driving, you're on the road, and all this thing. If you're illegal on the road, you could hit somebody. That's why so many hit and runs. And when
Mm-hmm.
people you have hit and runs like that, that's a problem too because it's like you causing the insurance company. I mean, it's just one thing after the other. I'm not aggressive when it comes to immigration because I am an immigrant, regardless of the fact, even though I'm a legal immigrant, but I'm still an immigrant. So I'm not aggressive as some white Americans or even some black Americans talk about immigration. I would never be as aggressive as they are. But at the same time, I do understand the point in getting yourself legal in a country because there are laws. You have to abide by the laws of the country. It's just like you running a business. You don't want somebody running into your business and disrespecting your business. You see, like it just doesn't sit well with me. Like, I can't have my business and you disrespect it, and I'll just be okay with that. Go ahead. You have something to say?
It on a face value and a surface level, it is the reality when you have undocumented people coming around and not paying taxes and they can't be accounted for and things of that nature. But for me, when I look at the overall issue itself, I like to look at the root. And what I mean by that is that a lot of immigrants or people came to America. I mean, due to political situations that happened in their homeland, um, that were largely that were largely orchestrated or influenced by American foreign policy.
Yeah,
So what I mean by that is like you have the whole of the Latin America, the third world, Africa,
right.
Asia. When you look at the foreign policy of the American government and what and
Right.
how the American government supported certain, you know, uh, things politically in those countries, things happen in those countries, and then people flee from those countries right back to America.
That's
So
true.
if those things, yeah, so it's like a circle.
Right.
So now, people run here and then people get in the situation where they can't get their papers or that, people not paying whatnot. But if their original homeland was not destabilized
Yes.
or was not, you know,
Yes.
interrupted, then people would not be here in
That is
America.
so true.
So,
That is
so
100% right there. I mean, this country, what we don't talk about a lot is the fact that the United States, they act like the world police. They destabilize a lot
mhm,
of nations, whether it's through the fact that, let's say, a country like Afghanistan, they're like the
mhm.
largest grower of opium, right? If I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Mm,
So that
Poppy.
country has to be destabilized in order for America to just literally get 100% of the opium coming out of the country there, and
Hmm.
same thing goes for oil producing countries like Iraq. Iraq was destabilized, and Iraq is not that much better off now. But who's really controlling all the minerals that's coming out of that country right now? Those are
Hmm.
American companies right now. If you go to Iraq, most of the minerals, the oil that's coming from there, they're coming right here. And what are
Hmm.
they doing to get those people country back to what it used to be? At least
Exactly.
when it comes to a stable economy, stable nation, booming economy. What are they doing to really get those people back to that? Nothing. So you're gonna have a lot of Iraqis, and I've met a few of them actually in Charlotte, you know, moving to the States
Mm.
because they don't even have anything extra to do. Like, they just feel like, you know what, I might as well just try to go to America now and live my life, because every time I feel like I'm moving forward, something happens and we have to start all the way back over. So yeah,
Exactly.
the
I
these
mean, the
yeah,
bottom line.
uh-huh,
Mm, nah, you're so right. The bottom line is that at the end of the day, human beings, people, they want to live a life, good quality life, wherever they are on the planet it is. And the people now, this is not, even the politicians of those countries. We're talking about regular everyday people. They don't know what's going on with in the government politically, but become victims of the choices that happen. And then the opportunity comes for say, well, I got to America, I want to, do better for my family, I want to make money, I want to make something of myself. So, and then you come here and then, we meet these other struggles too as well. So if we are going to have the conversation about undocumented immigrants, and we talk about ICE, and we talk about all these things here, we definitely have to have this other conversation too. It go hand in hand. In fact, that other conversation has to be at the forefront, and then based on that conversation, you have to create incentives. I mean, even almost like reparations in a
right,
sense. You
right.
know, it's like, I. So why can we talk about what happened to our country? What was the why our country become destabilized? And when you look at the reasons, it's petty. A lot of the reasons is like, oh, this country doesn't want to be a puppet for the U.S., so I go ahead and the stuff. So you mean to tell me that there were countries, there were leaders out there who wanted to make their country self-sufficient, who wanted their country to be free, liberated, and because that they did not submit to the U.S. foreign policy, sanctions imposed and all type of things happened, coups happened, wars happened, lives destroyed, people died, and then people flee and go out into and come to America. So you mean that just because these people wanted to make their country better, we gotta listen to what we say. It's petty. Isn't that what America stands for? Freedom, you
Exactly.
know, and so it's a hypocrisy there, and I think that we need to actually do a lot more to get this particular conversation in the at the forefront of the dialogue,
Okay,
and then a lot will come out of it.
that's good. So
Hmm.
we got 15 more minutes to go. Let's talk about this ADOS. ADOS has been booming in the news media, even the real media circuit. I'm not even talking about Google Media or YouTube Media. I'm talking about, ADOS has been everywhere as of late. Everybody's talking
Yep.
about it, and but basically, we all know it to be American descendants of slavery. Um, but
Yep.
they are trying to claim reparations, and and what do you think about that? Do you think they're right to try to get reparations at this particular time? Because it's been like what, more than 8 generations since what, the 1600s. It's been like
Mm.
since the first group of slaves came here. It's been more than 8 generations of black people. Maybe at least 4 generations of black people were born into slavery, worked, died into slavery, and it's still been like several generations after that. So what do you think about the whole ADOS thing? Do they have a right to gain reparations? Now, if they do get reparations, Are they gonna consider the are they gonna consider the mixed people? Because there's a whole bunch of mixed people in this country. Um, are they gonna consider them ADOS as well? You know, I mean, or is it fair to consider them ADOS, the mixed group? You know, and yeah, it's just a whole bunch with it. But what do you think about the whole ADOS thing?
I mean, I think there's a serious dialogue that needs to happen because it's a very complicated issue, with different layers as you just acknowledged. But I think the idea itself of just the ADOS movement itself of identifying or distinguishing who is and what is a ADOS. I think that it is necessary for that particular demographic, the American descendants of slaves, to acknowledge and to define and to say, hey, this is who we are. Um, on that level, it is important to distinguish that because from what I've seen over the years, um, that demographic, the African American, the Native African American, has gotten a lot of flack and doesn't really get the respect, and often is silenced and marginalized, even not even by people who are different skin color, but by other Africans around the world. It's like, oh, those African Americans, they're in America, they just there, and they're not taking advantage of being in America, and failing to realize when you look at the history of America. Okay, let's say slavery ends in 85. Okay,
You really
Lasagna, you still
breaking
there?
in. You might have to repeat that whole last point.
Oh, the whole part from where I
No,
started.
just your last sentence you were just saying.
Oh, oh, okay. Yeah, what I was saying is that even when you look at the end of slavery in 1865, America goes into Reconstruction and, right into the Jim Crow era. You have sharecropping, okay, and you have a lot of systemic inequalities. It's not the 1960s that some civil rights. Can you hear me, Seth? You're not hearing me,
Hello?
huh? You're not hearing me, huh?
No, I heard part of the up to the civil rights part. I guess you were saying some a lot of inequalities. Hello?
That the civil rights. I see. I'm breaking out. I'm breaking in.
Right. Yeah, man. I mean, we just continue, but for the next one, just try to get close to some Wi-Fi area, maybe McDonald's or somewhere, because it will be much
Yeah,
better with the network.
yeah, I'll do that next time. But you see, get it. You did that, clear.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay.
Hmm.
You
So
not hear me?
in a short sentence, what can you say about ADOS? Do they have a claim to reparations? Do you think it's worth the shot? Because I mean, to me, is this U.S. government is not gonna pay that money, man. That's how I feel. They're not gonna pay that money because when you really do the math, you really gotta calculate Black Americans according to your background. You gotta because there are a lot of first, second, third generation Black Americans that are not ADOS, and they will want to claim to this ADOS money. Think about it. A lot of Nigerians now are even complaining why they can't claim to the ADOS money as well. It's like no, that's why they call
Chat my
ADOS.
money.
Yeah, when they talk about money, yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I'm just saying the government itself, they're not ready to pay 40 million Black people anything. if anything, they're ready to maybe build institutions like schools. They might be able to do stuff like that, build schools, and I don't know. They might have banks that might give out loans and things of that nature, but to actually give each family substantial amounts, let's say each family getting like $500,000 over time, maybe like 4 or 5 years. The U.S. government cannot afford that because it's going to amount to trillions, not just trillions in single digits, but trillions in like double digits. Really, seriously. So, but I feel like they're worth it. They need to get it. They need to fight for it, and they need to try to get land. I feel like they need to acquire land in a specific area where, like, in somewhere in the South here, where we know a lot of black people are. They need to get a parcel of land. They don't have to divide the states or anything like that, but the government can give them land and also give money so that land can be developed. And I feel something like that will work, as opposed to everybody getting a check. So I don't know what you
Yeah,
feel about that. You can speak on that.
yeah. I think that we, you, you hear me?
Barely, I could barely hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Man, yeah. I was just saying that I think that it's all about where people want to invest their energy in. I think that some of the requests is like, you know, all right, you gotta be ready to fight. When I say fight, I mean even physically, fight.
Right.
You say that, oh, you're gonna give us this money. Okay, it's not about talk. If it's anything, if you look at American history,
Yeah.
look, these people came to this land here, and what did they do? They got it through violent means, and to this day, we're living in a country that they got through violent means. You know, um, all over the world, the U.S. military, it's violence. It's that's the language that these people speak. So if you do not even have something in your strategy to deal with that, to say, okay, I mean, if you say that you're gonna this is what we want, and if you don't give this to us, this is what we have to deal with, then where it's going, it's gonna be talk, 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 talk. So, but I think it's more of a possibility, like you said, land appropriation
Hmm.
solutions, just seeing how they work. We can work with each other, ourselves,
Hello.
worth more, worth
Yeah.
more. Be continued to be continued
Yeah. So okay.
to
So
be continued.
so
Mm-hmm.
so okay. As far as let's talk quickly about Afrobeat music. And where do you think Afrobeat is going as far as globally? I mean, it's already big in several parts of the world, but it's finally starting to creep up in the U.S. In the next 3 to 5 years, where do you see Afrobeat music going as far as the U.S. and the rest of the world, really?
It's gonna dominate. It's already it's already making
Your phone going,
there's
your
a
phone
few.
going in and out. Hello?
Let let's we'll
Hello?
continue another time
Yeah, just okay.
to
Just
be
say the last statement you were saying. You say it will dominate the music industry. Is that what you said?
is gonna dominate. New genres are gonna be created.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's
So
right. I'll
so
cut it
definitely.
short for now. We'll continue this.
Yeah, we'll definitely continue next time, man. Just get on a good network, man. We'll be straight. But it was a nice
Yep, yep.
conversation. We might have to kind of do the whole thing over based on how things look. Um, but it's a real good topic or good topics we discussed. And let me see how the output looks, and we'll decide what we're gonna do. But we might have to talk about it part two. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, my brother. I really enjoyed this conversation, other than the network freezing up. But yeah, you want to plug your music real quick, like where people could find you and stuff.
Right, I go to Putu Music on Instagram, PUTUMUSIC, and look me up on Facebook, PUTU Putu. And I look forward to the next conversation. Thank you for having me on the platform. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, man. No problem. Hopefully, we could make this thing like a weekly thing, so people could know that we're not just all artists. We talk about real issues that's going on. But yeah, thank you very much. Have a blessed day, my brother.
All right.
Yeah, peace out.